It's the time of the year where you might start to think about some New Year's resolutions. You might start to think about some goals, dare I say, goals for the year ahead. We are getting closer to the shortest day of the year, where after that, the days get longer. And then, of course, the end of the year, where we will find ourselves with January 1st, New Year's Day, and the time for all these resolutions and goals. But I'm going to talk to you today about that and my ideas around goals. We know that you were born magical. We know that you are intuitive, and we know that you are brimming with everyday enchantment. Here at the Sisters Enchanted, we believe in intention, we believe in intuition, and we believe in everyday magic. Welcome in to the Expedition to Soul podcast. All right. This year in 2023, I will say this has been the year of not having goals for me. I think I talked about this on a podcast episode, I don't know, a bit ago, sometime this year, about goal setting. And this year, like I said, it's 2023. We're getting near the end of the year. I did not set many goals this year. The goals that I set were what were they? What would I say? They were more impactful on a emotional level as opposed to what we would think of as a goal and numbers-based sort of goals. So let's talk about goals for a minute. And I feel like I'm saying that word in a really weird way. Goal. Let's talk about goals for a minute. Often we will hear this acronym SMART goals. And if you're in our membership community, there's actually a PDF in there somewhere for you that has this lined out. And that means that goals are specific. So they're not broad strokes. We would look at a goal as being, like exact. So a goal wouldn't be to save money. The goal would be to save a certain amount of money, right? Measurable, and that goes with that specificity. So you can tell how close you are to achieving it, how much farther you have to go. They're achievable. So if you are a person who's $50,000 in debt and you say that you are going to be debt free in 1 week, that's probably not achievable. So some element of realism here. They're relevant and they are time bound. So a goal, when we look at this SMART acronym, it's very specific. You know exactly when, how, what it looks like, what the outcome is going to be. That's goals. I like to look at outcome when I'm setting goals. Now this year, I have not set that many goals. And that is because this year for me was really a big kind of reset year in all of my life. Like kind of where am I feeling resistance and pressure, and what can I do to not feel that resistance and pressure, and sort of taking it day by day. And I'm really grateful for that. I think I needed that this year because I've learned a lot, I've grown a lot, and I'm really excited to move into next year in a different, with kind of a new landscape ahead of me. Now here we teach goals as being very solar. So you'll hear the terms masculine and feminine, and you'll hear a lot right now about like the feminine rising and the toxic masculine culture and whatnot. And really all of us have this masculine and feminine within us, and they show up in different ways. So for me, I am a person who I'm a nurturer in my family. I like to make sure people are cared for, but I'm also very masculine in that I love to take charge and I have ideas, and I like structure and planning, and I am a person who, like in my family, for example, I'm the person who works and makes money. And so when we think about masculine, feminine, solar, lunar goals and feelings, really, they all work together all the time. And it's when you're more in one than the other that you find yourself experiencing roadblocks in life. So when we're like very rigid and masculine and like no emotions, no feeling, lots of like aggression or assertiveness without any nuance and flow and emotional understanding. When we don't have that, then that masculine becomes a problem. When we're very emotional and we're leading only with emotion without putting any logic in there, or we are wanting to really be in a soft state 100% of the time and don't have the energy or the grit to do something that will require a more masculine, hold fast energy and work through it energy, being in that feminine all of the time, that is going to eventually cause a problem as well. When we look at solar and lunar, we talk about solar goals and lunar intentions. So setting solar goals only, all of these goals, I will declutter my house by the end of the month. I will lose 10 pounds by the time that this wedding comes around. I will save this much money before I'm this certain age. I will have a date night with my spouse once per week. These kinds of goals that we're setting, if we're only setting goals, eventually we're going to feel like we're not achieving them and we're going to feel like nothing works for us and like everything is hard and miserable and we're doing something wrong and everybody knows something we don't know. And when we're always in the lunar, we call this intention setting. It where you're setting how you want to feel. What is your intention around how you want to feel? That's very lunar, very inward. And if we're always like, well, I want to feel happy. And then that's where it ends. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel peaceful. I just want to feel peaceful. And we just keep saying it and we don't take action, then we're not going to get anywhere. So having this either or really being in one and not the other is where we run into problems. And it really is a what's necessary right now, the solar or the lunar, the masculine or the feminine. How do I tap into the reserve that I need right now for the circumstance that I've been placed in? So when we're setting goals, we want to keep that in mind. How are we really being in this checklist sort of state and not understanding why we're setting the goals? And this is where our intuitive practices can come in, because if you are not trusting yourself, if you have not worked on your intuitive skills where you can hear and feel the signals that your body, your spirit, your mind are telling you, then you will lack self-trust. And it is your self-trust that helps you to keep the balance in all of this and to know which way to go at any point in time. All right, when we're setting goals, though, again, these are very solar. So you can see them in your life. They are yes, no. Like I did it, I didn't do it. There's three things I want you to be aware of when you are setting goals. The first is your ego. So this is the part of you that is often in the driver's seat, but your ego will have really weird reasons for wanting to do things. Like your ego will want the rush of having the compliments of people saying, oh, you look so good, you've lost so much weight. That's coming from your ego. Your ego wants to hear that, and you might not actually care, and your body might be healthy just the way that it is, right? Or something about your ego might be saying, well, I won't be a good person until I have this job or have this much money or can run a marathon or write a book or whatever. So that's very ego. Your ego is taking the wheel there. So we want to watch out for your ego self when you're setting goals. Where is your ego sort of taking over? Expectations. Expectations on yourself, expectations of others. So if you're setting a goal that will require everybody else in your life to change their whole lives so that you can meet this goal, it's probably not going to work. You're putting expectations on other people that they did not ask for. Where are you setting goals based on societal expectation that's been applied to you that you did not ask for? So check with your ego, check with expectations. And then the third thing to be careful of is experimentation. So setting goals is really not the time to experiment with what will work and what won't work. We want to experiment in that lunar energy, that feminine energy, that how does it feel when I try to embody this way of being? That's where we play and experiment. In solar goals with goal setting, it's really the time to think of that SMART acronym. What is the information that you have that can guide you to the next right step? So if the information tells you that you're able to put $10, $100, $1,000 aside every whatever time period, because you can see that in your bank account, in your budget, then do that. And then see how it feels a week later. Does it feel too restricting? Does it feel like you could do more? And then that's where you experiment with feeling. But when it comes to goals, that's not really the time to be experimenting with how might my life look if I try this thing, because goals really are there to help us take action. And we have to know what action to take. If you're not sure of what the next step is, then that's where overwhelm creeps in and you won't take any steps, which is why with goal setting, this is not the time for experimentation. It is the time to get clear on what is the next step, no matter how small that might be, and how can I take that. So when you're setting goals, you want to be aware of your ego, your expectations, and avoid experimentation during goal setting, which, it's like I said, it's the time of year for that. So when you're setting goals for yourself, ask yourself why. Why do you think you want this? What do you think will change once you've achieved this goal? Or is it just like a hobby goal? Maybe you have a goal to there's this mountain that I really want to climb. And I wouldn't say it's a goal necessarily. It's on my list of things to do. And maybe when it gets closer to actually being something I'm planning to do, because I'm going to wait till my kids are a little bit older, then maybe I'll set the goal like, all right, we need to hike 3 miles a day for a month. And then we need to hike 5 miles a day for a month. And then we need to hike 10 miles once a week for a month. Then maybe I'll set some of these goals, right? And what do I think will change? Nothing. That's a personal achievement kind of goal, just something I want to do in my life. But if you have a goal that you're setting because you think it's going to change something in your life or about you, what is that? What do you think will change? And do you think it actually needs to change? Will it have the impact you're hoping it will have? And how do you know? And why don't you already have it? Why don't you already have that thing? That's a question to ask yourself, because that will help you see where you're going to sabotage going forward. We teach a method called the expansion archetypes, which helps you see where you sabotage and how. So if you have access to that, definitely check that out too. But yeah, so what do you think will change? Why don't you already have it? Why do you want this thing? How do you want to feel? And what actions can you take to feel that way? Those are your goals. What actions can you take to feel the way you want to feel? So as we come up on the season to set goals, keep all of this in mind, and also don't feel the pressure to set goals. I will say that not setting a lot of goals this year it's been both terrifying, I guess, not terrifying. I wouldn't say terrifying. I've never felt terrified this year. It's been a different way of being, and it's also been liberating because I've just sort of been collecting information, like what's working, what's not working, where am I being impulsive, or where am I not putting any energy at all and things are just really getting away from me, or how does it feel to, like, when we do enrollment for our programs, we're going to do a holistic witchery, a mini enrollment coming up here soon. And it's been really fun to experiment with, like, well, how does it feel when we enroll this many students versus taking in this many new students? Because we really pride ourselves on our welcome experience and helping people to finish the curriculum and delivering a top-notch experience here. So if we have like all of these people, how does it feel to have more people versus less people? How are we able to receive that? And looking at it from that way as information collection, I think will help me a lot in the next year. But I really had to pull back and stop setting goals because I felt like I was starting to just pull numbers and ideas out of the sky because I'm supposed to, air quotes, and I lost sight of how do I want to feel in this and why do I want to do these things, and really pulling back this year. So this is, again, that example of being too much in the masculine, too much in the feminine. I think that in a lot of areas of my life, just out of necessity, I'm a business owner, I'm a homeschool mom, I'm the sole income earner in my family. I help care for my grandparents. My grandfather has dementia. And, I'm often the primary parent. So doing all of this in my life, really out of necessity, I was having to be very much in that masculine solar energy. Like checklists, what needs to happen? How do we know it's done? What are the goals here? how are we achieving them? And then being so much in that energy, I started to get out of alignment with, well, what feels right? What can I do to welcome more of these beautiful, delightful feelings into my life, and really pulling back this year and releasing the need to achieve certain benchmarks in my life and just let things go how they would, feel into it, and then adjust accordingly has been a really nice reset. And I think reestablishing some of that harmony between the two different energies in my life. So sometimes you don't need to set goals either. Sometimes it's really just that time to reassess and reharmonize the energy through you. And so you can be more conscious about that and what energy you're carrying around with you every single day. All righty. Well, there's some ideas for you on goal setting. If you want more help with this, be sure to check out our blog and different resources, because we've been talking about goals and intentions for years and years and years. And you can always learn more about our membership program or holistic witchery program, which will help you with this as well. Thank you for hanging out with me. And until next time, I hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day ahead. If you liked this episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it will really help us spread everyday magic, intention, and intuition to the masses, and helps us so much as a small business. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. There are new episodes every Tuesday. And as always, thank you so much for listening and being part of the community here at the Sisters Enchanted. And we'll see you in the next episode.